I'm going to go ahead and get us started since it's 6 o'clock, and we'll go ahead and call to order the February 4th, 2021 meeting of the City of Saugatuck Historic District Commission. So thanks everyone for joining tonight. We'll start with a roll call. Cindy, would you help us with a verbal roll call, please?
Sure. Lewis,
Yes.
Canarsa,
Here.
Pinozo, Dan Pinozo, we'll come back to him. Patterson,
Here.
Davenport,
Here.
Leo, Leo, we'll come back. Stryker
Here.
and Pinozo, I don't see. And
Okay.
Nico, I don't see.
So we have a quorum at least.
Mhm.
We'll listen for the ding dong of the doorbell when people arrive and revise accordingly.
Perfect.
Are there any agenda changes, additions, or deletions?
Not for me.
Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes of the regular meeting January 7th, 2021? And if so, do I have a motion to approve?
Patterson moves to approve.
Thank
Second.
you. Second, is that Garn?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying yes. We'll do a roll call. I'll do that. Canarsa?
Yes.
Davenport? Davenport?
She's muted.
Yes.
Thank you. Stryker, yes. Am I missing?
Lewis,
Patterson?
yes.
Patterson. Lewis?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Sorry, we're already past that. Motion carries. I'm toggling between screens here. Thank you. So minutes are approved. Public comments. Brian, would love for you to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, sorry that I appear so dark and creepy. Maybe this is a little better so you can see my face. So I'm Ryan Heiss. I'm your new city manager, and I arrived in town last week, and I live in the city, renting a townhome on the Blue Star Highway near to North Street. And this week was my first week, and I've made it to Thursday, and I'm feeling good about it. And just a brief background on myself. Born and raised in Jackson, Michigan, which is South Central Michigan. Attended school at Northern Michigan University. Yeah, fist pumps, Garn. And then went to Western Michigan University and studied urban planning. Eventually got my master's degree in public administration. I worked in Florida in the Sarasota area for a decade, both on the private side and public side of residential and commercial development, and wanted to get back to the Midwest. I landed in Door County, Wisconsin, and I worked for a small village by the name of Egg Harbor. So I did that for approximately 5.5 years. I saw this opportunity in Saugatuck, which was great because I have a 9-month-old baby and a lovely wife here with me as well, and a dog named Chuchi, which I don't know where she's at right now. Usually she's hanging around me. But with the baby, it allowed us to get closer to family, which is still in Jackson, Michigan. So the village of Egg Harbor, where I worked, was very, very similar to Saugatuck. I'd say Saugatuck is just like the village of Egg Harbor, but on steroids. Tourist-based, on the water, big arts community, really big into the environment. And so I'm just really happy to be here and really happy to see your agenda and listen into your meeting. So happy to entertain any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Does anyone, we're delighted to have you here. So thank you for being part of the community and part of the team, including Aaron and Cindy, who are great members of our team. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Any questions for Ryan? Okay. We'll keep moving then. Any unfinished business? No? Okay, we'll jump right to new business. So first item on the agenda is 730 Water Street. Yeah, 730 Water Street. This is moving the fish shanty to Retro Boats. Cindy, do you want to give any sort of overview, or we can jump right to the applicant?
I think you're somewhat familiar with this project because you approved the removal of this structure from 2 doors down at 720 Water, and it's moving to 730 Water. I'm sure you'll have plenty of questions for the applicant. The Planning Commission did approve the site plan, and they had a few conditions, but they were not substantial, and they don't relate to any of the historic district regulations. So I would just have you move on to the applicant.
Okay, and as we move on to the applicant, I'll also just mention one thing in terms of for anyone who's new to the Historic District Commission and the way we work, we'll hear any comments you want to give us to amplify anything in your application, but we've all read it carefully and probably done a drive-by too. And then once you have anything else to add to your application, I'll sort of go around the virtual table of commissioners and just ask if they have any clarifying questions or anything else they want to add. And everyone will have their own opinion based on guidelines. We'll talk about that and then we'll vote on it. So I just wanted to share that sort of procedural thing. Lauren, John, anybody like to share anything about the application?
Oh, he's going to have me start. Yeah, thank you guys for having us. Obviously, you know a lot about this. You've read through this. You know, our plan is to have the fish shanty at Retro Boat Rentals in the space just to the south of us. We are redoing the cement in that area, raising up the seawall just a little bit, just to, you know, make things nice around there because there is some cracking in the cement. Yeah. And it'll make the fish shanty a little bit taller.
Right.
And the other thing is we're looking, as you see in the application, is, you know, we want it to look as authentic as it once was, and rustic in nature, and what it, you know, is close to what it used to look like back in the day. You know, right now, if you pull up the pictures, it kind of looks like a one-stall garage. And our hope is to sandblast, you know, some of the paint on the outside, get it down to a more original state, you know, improve that front. And then you see right there on the backside, that's going to be facing the water because that was what was originally facing the water. So that will all be open, you know, in the summertime. And the idea is to open up the wall that faces Retro Boat Rentals. There's a wall there, see right there between those two windows, creating an opening there. And I think you have seen the Historic Center has some graphic designs that kind of look at what that's supposed to look like. There was original talk from the Demers family about wanting to put a glass door there, but we were hoping to do something that's a lot more authentic in nature, maybe something that lifts up and creates more of a, what's the word I'm looking for?
An overhang.
An overhang.
Yeah. And then when it's closed, you know, looking more in line with what, you know, the architecture is, and not having a glass garage door, but having a traditional wood door that kind of blends in with the existing siding. Mm-hmm. And we feel like the Demers would be okay with that alternative. And I think the rendering there that you're looking at is not the updated rendering.
Yeah, there's a new rendering.
There's a new rendering that I think would be helpful if it's available. And I can forward it to you, but I think you're going to want to look at it because the front is slightly different. There we go.
Cindy, did you?
There it is. That's it.
So I just wanted to let Aaron know what page it was, that it's page 19.
If there's any page you'd like me to pull up, please just let me know and I can try and find it for you.
No, that's great.
Yeah, so that's got the metal roofing on it, which we discussed, and then also the, the door. We have to figure out how to do that with that door safely, but we're in the process of trying to figure that out.
Yeah, and the idea behind opening that up is just so it's not a dark, confined space that people won't want to go in. The idea is to make it as bright and inviting as possible, especially during the summer months. So the Historic Center can display some of the historic items that relate to the fishing industry in Saugatuck, the Demers family and the other families that, were part of the fishing industry from, our historic perspective in Saugatuck. They're going to take up 20 or 30% of the building.
Yeah.
And the other part of the building, we're looking at doing some retail and some possible seating. That's all we have plans for at this time as far as our use of it.
Right.
But we love the idea. I know the Historic Center has sold a lot of the historic placards that will go in various spots. So we, thank the community who've already stepped forward and bought those, to represent different historic parts of that. And honestly, if you guys are familiar with Fishtown and Leland, part of our talks with the History Center was wanting it to have more of that original fish shanty vibe. So whatever we could do with some original artifacts to really give it more of an authentic fishing shanty vibe, and incorporate a lot of the pictures that they've been sharing that will really tell the story.
Right.
Terrific.
See, if I could just add to that, you can see the existing concrete there in the rendering that you're looking at is in very poor shape. That's as you probably know, if you've been driving by there the last couple of years, is a low spot along Water Street, and we get a lot of water that comes in there, and that has contributed to the street flooding. We're not actually raising the seawall. We're just raising the cement there about 8 inches. There's a low spot that the water comes in. So the shanty will be in safer, higher ground on brand new cement. So it should be substantially higher than it has been for the last few years, or I should say for the last 50 years.
Right.
Right.
Okay, thank you so much for the overview. I'm going to go around the table. Maybe Jennifer, we'll start with you. Do you have any clarifying questions or comments?
The new door, the wood door, is that going to be the same size as what was in the original submission for the glass door?
Yeah, we want to keep it between those two original windows. So it wouldn't be any bigger than that.
There's only, I think, about a little over 12 feet between those two doors. So it's going to have to be like a 10-foot wide door.
I think it's a much better plan than the glass door.
We thought
Yeah.
so too.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Demers family wanted the viewing area, a viewing window, for when we're closed. But, we just decided that we can create some viewing windows without, defiling the building with a glass
I
door.
agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That was my only question.
Mhm.
Jennifer. Garn, do you have any clarifying questions or comments?
This is great. I really appreciate you guys doing this, and said so before. I think this will be a really neat addition down there. I have one question about the concrete. Are you just, given your water issues, are you guys going to extend that concrete across that whole pad, or just for the house?
Yeah, no, good question. So that entire area, so that all of the concrete on the property will be as high as the floor in the building. So that whole section of that concrete that's lower than both the patio and the floor of the building, the main building, it'll be at that height or slightly higher and pitched for drainage.
Got it. Cool.
So there's
That's it.
about probably 3 times more concrete than the size of the building that will all be replaced.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay,
Okay.
cool. Thanks.
Mr. Patterson, any clarifying questions or comments?
Nope, I'm in.
Okay. Mr. Canarsa.
Love it. No questions.
And did I skip anyone? No. Okay. From my perspective, I love your change on the door. Also not a fan of the glass door. Love glass doors, just not in this application. I also like Eric and team, you've done a really nice job of storytelling with the plaques. And I see what you're going to do in terms of the enhancements with the nets and the buoys and things like that, and the barrel. Like in my mind, what adds to that with this sort of pull-up door is the creak of the springs, and that's all part of the experience, even if you can't hear it. This reminds me of an old, outbuilding, or sort of like the doors that are on the funeral home that are original on Lake Street. So I think there's real charm. That's a feature where this could be super, super charming. So I'm in favor of it with that change. So, whoever makes the motion, since that's not explicitly called out in the application, we should call out the details of that change to the application. And then my only other comment or maybe question is, this will sound silly, but to the left is that white fence. I don't think that's there now, is it, in this render?
So that will be where our garbage goes.
Yep.
And so we hope to have it further back than what this graphic kind of looks like, but it's hard to do it in a, in a 3D graphic like this. But yeah, it'll hide our garbage back there.
So my only comment on that is, in my mind, when I see that, my biggest fear would that would be a big PVC white glossy fence, which would sort of be in conflict with the tone and vibe of the shanty. So if it's possible to make that natural materials, I think that would be really important.
I like
so that it doesn't stand out.
Yeah.
And then I think, we're pretty clear in guidelines in terms of, I know you said in the application, the replacement of the south side siding, you would get as close as you can. I know there's two different kinds of siding on there as it is. I think it's fine that it's two different things because that's part of the history of the building. So just make sure that in the final approved application that's spelled out. And if it's hardy, if you end up putting hardy, not wood on there, that it's the smooth side painted, not the stamped side to look like weathered fake wood. Otherwise, those were my only comments.
Yeah, I would just want to mention, so that this does have to, does require fire department, approval and inspection. So we did have to change that. We are going to have to modify that front door. It's going to have to be 3 feet wide and it's going to have to swing out.
Yeah, our hope is to find a historic door.
An old,
Yeah.
an old door, that we can repurpose that would meet the fire code.
So I think the only thing we're going to want to make sure of is that we're really clear about what we're approving here. So what you should hear the commission saying before we make a motion is, because it'll be important to put this in the motion, is what those 2 or 3 details are. So we can't really approve it. We can't really approve that garage door opening, sort of lifting up or otherwise, without really knowing what that is with specificity, at least in the application spelled out. We don't need an exact photo of it necessarily. So one option is to make that kind of contingent on staff approval once we agree on the motion in terms of those elements. For instance, if the motion included the sourcing of a 6 divided light antique door or similar to be staff approved that's wood to match existing conditions, or if the garage door were X by X in the motion size wise, made of wood in keeping with the original structure. Like that's the kind of thing I think we're going to need in the motion. If somebody disagree with me, if you disagree.
Well, we would certainly commit to the size of the door in wood. So we're comfortable with incorporating that in.
Hey, John and Lauren, what's your timing on all this? As far as getting this moving along, I'm thinking in terms of emotion and the things that John was mentioning. is this something that we can have you come back with the final details from a timing perspective? You tell me, and Cindy too. I'm trying to think as far as if you're still figuring out what to do about a door. I'm thinking, can Eric and Vic help you locate one? Those types of things, rather than, I don't know. Cindy, what are
Yeah.
your thoughts?
There is a timeline in your packet. I'm looking for what page it's on.
Yeah,
so I
there's a
can
lot of
tell.
pages.
Okay, it's on page 18, Aaron.
Okay.
Another option, Garn,
Mhm.
is based on this timeline, because I appreciate the fact that there's a,
There it is.
it's fairly aggressive to
Mhm.
be up and running by the 1st, is I'm never a fan, as you know, of 3 commissioners meeting on site about an application before we've heard it. I think 3 commissioners meeting on site to clarify the details after we've made the motion could be an option. Because really the 3 commissioners would be interpreting guidelines and looking at the site and understanding the 2 doors and the final siding choice, for instance. I don't think that's not like an architectural stretch. So that's a thought. I don't know what the other commissioners think about that. It'd be better just to table it, and knowing that you're generally, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, you're generally hearing love for it. It's just kind of following procedure to make sure we 100% understand what we're approving. So the ideal thing would be to wait till the next meeting, but if that's throwing you off your timeline, I think we can figure out a plan B.
Yeah, so can I speak to, I guess, in more detail about the timeline? So our plan is to do concrete in March, have the concrete done in March, place the building in early April. We're going to do as much as we can on the exterior, right? Between now and then. We can't do any of the interior until it's relocated, because you saw it's all reinforced on the inside.
To be able to
So-
move it.
To be able to move it.
It has
So,
to-
yeah. So as far as anything on the exterior, it would be important for us to have approval right away, because we need to make work on those, improvements as quickly as we can. We've been reluctant to move forward or spend any money just without all the necessary approvals. So to whatever approval we can gain to start working on the exterior and feeling good about moving forward, we're willing to comply with, any specificity about what doors are acceptable to gain approval tonight.
Okay.
I guess we want to try to avoid having to come back if we can. We're open to suggestions and ideas. We just want to, this is obviously, we want to get moving on.
Yep, totally get it. Go ahead.
Tim, I think that as long as Lauren and John can say with specificity what their door materials are going to be, what the size is going to be, what the front door, the new door that needs to be widened, what are the dimensions, the material is wood. I mean, I think that would be fine then to leave it to staff approval. Because are those the only 2 changes, or did I miss a third one?
I think siding, but siding is in the application as we'll match what's there if we can. And if we can't, we'll use X. So I think we would be appropriately deciding on what's in the application. I don't think I kind of threw that out as an example, but I think we're fine on that. It's probably the 2 openings. I guess one last question, since we're going around the architectural bend, just clarifying the material on the roof. I know it looks like in the render it's metal.
Correct.
And just making sure that that's not the corrugated sort of metal that you find at Lowe's, but that's standing seam, correct?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
yeah, that I'll have to, so our contractor, we'll have to talk to our contractor about that, but I believe that was the intention.
Can I just interject on that? I think it might be okay, just to kind of contradict him a little bit, to have the screw down type that he's referring to. It's less expensive, but it seems more appropriate to this, to me, more appropriate to this architecture. It's simpler, more shanty shack-like, I think. So I don't think it has to be standing seam like you would see on a house.
I think it depends on what was there, though. Like if we have proof that that's what it was, I agree with you. If we don't have proof that that's what it was, we usually wouldn't approve that.
It was shingled.
It was shingled.
It was shingled, and now it has just tar paper. But if you look in some old photos, it was shingled before. We just
But
thought.
you're proposing metal.
What's that?
You're proposing metal, though.
Correct.
Yeah.
We just didn't want to put new shingles on it, make it look.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I mean, it's a very old building, so any picture we look was only what it had at that moment in time.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean that it never had metal. You know, we've seen pictures with both two material types, just tar paper as it is today, and then we've seen pictures with shingles.
So my point is there are two types, the two main types of metal roofs, and one is standing seam, which wouldn't have even, I don't even think would have existed back in the day.
Right.
So the screw down type, which isn't like appropriate for a lot of higher end homes and cottages around here, that's
Right.
what I was referring to. I think it is appropriate for this.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think that was the intention, is to try to give it a rustic look, because what we're afraid of is if it's shingled, you know, we're deathly afraid it's going to look like a single stall garage.
Yeah. No, I like your rendering is kind of showing it. It's a little flatter than the standing seam that you would see.
Yeah.
There's a couple houses right downtown on Holland Street. There's one. It's the standing seam is taller. It's almost two-dimensional for this structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's hard to show in, this kind of graphic, but we do want it to look more rustic and more shanty, not less garage, more shanty.
Yeah, and that's what the screw down type would. So I think you're on the right track with that, and it's way less expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Would, if there's no other questions or comments from commissioners, would someone like to take a stab at a motion? I can try. Do you want me to?
Yeah, I do.
Go for it.
Sorry, what's our address again? 740?
730.
So I'd like to make a motion for 730 Water Street to approve the application as submitted with the following additions: that the man door on the front of the building and the proposed garage door on the side of the building, that size and material be confirmed via staff approval, and materials in keeping with our guidelines, which are natural material, wood, in a size, structure, and configuration that's in keeping with the scale and dimensions of the historic property. And I would add into that confirmation of the roof material and the roof material and not vendor, manufacturer, and confirmation of the siding. I don't know how I did. If I have a second.
Second.
John Canarsa seconded. Is there any more discussion?
And on that, so is that, what does that mean for us? Do we just send an email with how does that process work? I guess I've never done it.
It's a good question. So that just means secure your antique door or your door that you would like on the front, and the dimensions of your garage door and its opening mechanism and material on the side, and get your contractor to give you the manufacturer of the roof and confirm the profile and manufacture of the siding, and just go in and submit that to Cindy, and she has the ability to look at the guidelines and understand if that is appropriate based on our guidelines.
Yeah, John and Lauren, Cindy's going to be your go-to person here.
Perfect.
She'll take care of you.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Right, Cindy? Not to put you on the spot.
And if Cindy has
Yeah,
any,
I will do that. And if necessary, if I have any questions, I'll defer to Tim and let him make sure that we have everything we need.
Yep.
It's sometimes difficult to get these details up front because you don't know what you're going to do. But I think that we can handle that with the siding on the side, the door. I'm not sure it has to open out. I think that might be not correct for the size of the building. Doesn't have to be panic hardware and all that other stuff. You have to have an occupant load of more than 50 to have a swing outdoor, but you do have to have it 36 inches wide. And I'm assuming that's the size you'll be targeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's good to know.
yeah, Cindy's really good about if there's any sort of question on the specifics of the staff approval, we bounce it off each other to make sure we're following guidelines in the right way. So,
Good.
okay, I'm going to go ahead and then call the vote. So we'll do a verbal roll call. Canarsa,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Davenport,
Yeah.
Lewis,
Yes.
and Straker. Yes.
And Leo's here.
Oh, I didn't see Leo.
I'm latecomer, but yes,
Leo, as you, or Nico, as you vote on this, I just want to make sure you heard the entirety of the application.
I did.
Okay, thank you.
And I heard your summary and it made perfect sense to me. So yes.
Okay, thank you and welcome.
Thank
So
you.
motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
guys.
for
It's
doing this.
really going to be a nice addition. Thank you. And Eric, and anyone else from the History Center who's on the call. I saw Vic's name. Thank you for carrying it forward. All right, we will go to the second application, 880, 884 Holland Street. Cindy, would you, any overview you'd like to give?
This, somehow Erin got the memo in her packet and I don't have it in mine. But this is the Southerner Restaurant. We've done several things here before. This is a non-contributing structure. And they want to add, as you can see in the memo that's on your screen, they want to add walk-in cooler space and relocate an existing shed and extend the fence to screen all of that walk-in cooler from the adjacent property. I don't really think I have anything else to add to that, but if
And Matt, it looks like, thank you, Cindy. Matt, it looks like you're here. If I can just add to the opening, it looks to me, if I can net out what you'd like to do is that you're kind of restacking the coolers in the shed and it's sort of going to be behind a fence. Is that correct? You might be on mute, Matt. Mr. Millar. I think you're on mute.
Matthew, I'm trying to unmute you, but can't seem to do it.
Unmuted now.
Oh, sorry. I keep saying it, but you're trying.
How's it? Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, there's an existing fence there now that already hides a walk-in cooler, an outdoor walk-in cooler. Our indoor walk-in cooler is old and failing, and so we're trying to relocate most of our walk-in cooler to the exterior of the building. So we want to add another unit that's a walk-in cooler freezer, and then we'll actually be relocating the existing unit and pushing the shed down to make room for those. And then we just want to extend the existing fence in the same style to cover the walk-in coolers from our neighbor's view.
Okay, thank you. I'll go around the table if we have any clarifying questions or comments. Lewis.
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Thanks, Garn.
Canarsa.
I'm good.
Patterson.
No questions.
Leo.
No questions.
Davenport.
No questions.
And Straker, no questions. It's pretty straightforward. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, John, I'll throw it out. Motion to approve the application for 880 Holland Street for an additional walk-in cooler and relocation of the shed as submitted.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
That's Leo.
Or Davenport, doesn't matter.
Okay, well, I didn't hear her, so,
Okay.
okay. Dealer's choice there, Cindy. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying yes. Lewis,
Yes.
Narsa,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Davenport,
Yes.
Straker is a yes. Skip anybody? No. Okay. Awesome. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Millar. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And item number 3 is 820 Holland Street. So we heard this application, or not this application, but we heard from Lisa Gonzalez and Chris Timmons at our last meeting. So welcome back, folks. Cindy, would you like to give us any overview on this?
Well, this application is a little bit different than removing the deck, which was new-ish, and re-roofing, which was also new-ish. This is to eliminate some windows openings to accommodate interior renovations. And I think those are all shown in your application as photos. That would be page number, starting on page 39. That one, I'm not sure what, it looks like maybe eliminating part of the slider, but I'm sure that the applicants can give us full
Yeah,
details about
So that would be great. I think if you guys can give us detail on each of the elevations to know. So for instance, okay. So for instance,
Sorry, I'm jumping around. I'm trying to rotate the photos for you.
okay. So on the slider elevation, I think this is the back of the house,
Yeah.
opposite of Holland Street, correct? So maybe
Yeah.
we'll go. Describe to us photo by photo what you'd like to do so that we understand it, and then we'll go around the table.
Okay, so first off, we tried to make so we wanted to leave the front of the house exactly the way that it looks. So we're not going to be, we don't want to change anything in the front. So what we did is we had our interior designer kind of, in order to add closet space and some kitchen renovations, they were going to move that, in that picture right there, all they're going to do is shorten that window a little bit so that we can actually add cabinets underneath there and a sink. And then they're going that part of the door, it won't be a sliding door, it'll just be like a French door.
No, not a French door, just one door.
Yeah, one door.
Single door.
So that we can add cabinets in the back of the kitchen and some space in a refrigerator.
Okay.
And that is the side of the house. And in that picture, what we're going to be doing is adding some closet space there. And the way that we had it designed, in order to avoid touching the front, the designer thought it was best to put it in the side. So that would require replacing that window or actually siding over it.
Right. This is actually, I think that whole backspace was added on at some point because those are stairs going back from one of the bedrooms. So that's actually a window and a stairwell that's going away. So the stairwell's going away and we're just getting rid of that useless window.
That window goes into, kind of overlooks an old stairwell that goes into the basement. And there'll be a closet there as well. So that's kind of like a non-purpose window, really. Okay, and then the window at the top, the same story as on the other side. That's another bedroom that doesn't have any closets in it. And what they're going to do is add closet space where that window is. And then on the kitchen down here. Yeah, and then nothing in the front would change at all.
Back one, Aaron.
Yeah. And that's where the kitchen renovation is going to be again. So there's going to be cabinets there with, the bottom and the top. So that's why that window would be replaced. So that's on the back side.
The opposite of that's actually our neighbor's house.
Yeah, right. It's facing the southerner.
Sort of.
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. And I'm going to save my question. Anything else you guys would like to add?
No, I mean, our goal is really just to keep the house, the front of the house, and that everything is, you know, the same that it looks. We're not really looking to change anything, just add some closet space and some interior renovations, and felt this is the best way to do it without changing the character of the house.
I mean, there are extensive updates on the inside. There's a lot of old electrical, a lot of old plumbing, which we didn't know about when we bought. So having, it's a whole project on the inside. So we did the best we could to kind of, you know,
Yeah.
do the upgrades in the best possible way, safest possible way.
I'm just going to ask one question before we go around because I think it might help us. So just for clarity, you're asking for closing these windows up, not replacing all the windows. So you're not adding windows in the whole house. You're not, that's not what your application is, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
No, what we plan on doing, the phases that we were going to do is the interior, and then come back and we don't know the timing because it's kind of hard to get contractors are backed up. Then eventually after we have the interior done, then we're going to come back and probably replace the windows and the siding. We're either going to have wood or maybe a hardy board. I think the wood's salvageable. So I think we might, you know, just have it, you know, primed and painted. But if it's not, then we would probably look at maybe just replacing with wood or a hardy board.
Okay.
But I don't think that'll be for
2023.
Yeah,
like,
that's at least, yeah, another year out.
Okay, I will go around the table and see Nico. Do you have any clarifying questions or comments?
I just question removing the windows on the top on the sides. It kind of screws up the symmetry. I mean, I don't know if we have any say with that, but that would be my only concern. I don't necessarily have problems with the other windows. It's just those two top ones that I do.
In this photo and on the other side of the house in the same area?
Yes.
On the Lucy side? That one.
That's that one too. Yeah.
Cindy's got her hand up.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see. Zoom is not my native technology. Cindy, what were you going to say?
I was going to just say that it looks like the windows are replacement inserts, just in case you want to get to the point where you want to talk about replacement windows so they can have a little guidance as they move forward with their planning. I think that would be helpful. In this photo too, it looks like there are replacement inserts with interior grids.
That's one of the reasons I ask about the intention on the overall window plan, because in order of priority, I think for us, especially in this application, it's an original opening versus the window that's in it. And original opening kind of takes precedence. That's what we're deciding on, is whether to fill in original opening in the structure. And then if you are replacing something, then it's what do you replace it with? But it sounds like it's more on the first, obviously, for most of these fill-ins, except for on the back where we're talking about a sliding door to a man door, or a single versus a double and a smaller window there. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah, okay. So Nico, based on that, anything else to add there?
No. No, I'm curious to hear what everybody else thinks.
Okay. Jennifer.
I agree with Nico. I know the front of the house is important. I totally agree. I don't think you should be changing the windows out, but that's a corner property and I drive by it every day. And the Lucy Street side is also the street side.
Yeah.
It's the side of the house, but it faces a street. If you take out that top window on the Lucy Street side, the one with that's on the second picture down right now, it's going to look really out of balance. I mean, I know you want to put closets in, I understand that, but I think it's not going to look right. That's the original part of the house. That's the original house. That's that structure. Everything else was added on, who knows when, but that's an original opening. And if you take out that window, it's going to look really funny. It's going to look really awkward. And I think the same thing, I know it faces the southerner, but in my opinion, on the other side of the house as well, taking out one top window is going to look really awkward.
That one's gonna be a bathroom, so.
Yeah, maybe we could.
Up on the right, the picture we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is a bit.
Okay.
Did a really hard
Yeah.
one.
The other windows, I don't have any issue with. I just would like to know what the materials are going to be. Like I know you're taking this one out on the side of the house, but on the kitchen, on the back side with the slider door that's being removed. And the other window, I don't have, I'm fine with that. That's on the back of the house. You can't see it, but I would like to know what the materials are.
Okay.
I think we're just gonna do a regular door.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Glazing or a solid door?
We're gonna put, it's gonna hit windows. We're gonna.
Oh, it'll be a glass door?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a single. Okay.
It might have like a little bit of like wood in the bottom and then glass all, most of it, you know, three quarters.
Single French door, full light kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I just want to, that can be, if that's what it's going to be, then just have staff approval.
Correct.
Assuming this approved or.
Yeah, we have time. So yeah, that's not anything that's happening immediately, but we just thought it'd be good to let you guys know what we're thinking and.
Yep.
Well, I mean, when you want to get approval for what you're going to do, because if you need to make any changes, you need to come back.
Thanks, Jennifer. Anything else?
No, I just am not, I wouldn't approve removing the two windows on the second story.
Okay. Keith.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I agree with what everyone's been saying. And if you do take a walk about this place, the size and proportion of the windows that have been put in over time certainly are a mismatch with what the original design is. You can see a few of them, but if you take a walk about some of the stuff that was put in is, it's kind of remodeled, right? The only thing I can suggest on some of these where we're kind of resisting is you can leave it as a faux window and still do what you want to do on the interior and still have the look from the exterior, but it's just not real, right? You could leave that as is and do your interior thing and everybody's happy because our focus is on the exterior, not your interior desires.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. If with the closet, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter like what the inside of the closet looks like, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, Keith. So just to add on there, in a lot of historic districts, you would sort of, the opening is the most important thing because that's the integrity of the house. And if you take that out, that can never be replicated. So I even did it in a historic district on my own where you sort of shut the blinds on the inside and drywall over it. And from the outside, it doesn't look any different, but from the inside, it lives the way you want to.
Okay. Right.
It's always an option. So
yeah, and I think that side that we're looking at there, less the lattice work in the middle, is probably the only side that is authentic. I don't know much about the whole history, but that size and proportion of all those four windows there seem to be authentic. If you take a walk about the others, it's just a mashup, right?
Yeah, they're all different.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that looks like the 60s from there on the upper windows, right?
We don't know what that window is. It's kind of funny, but yeah. So if that's an option, I mean, yeah, we could always even talk to the designer and just do drywall and keep the windows on the exterior, and it'll keep the look on the exterior of the house, and then.
Yeah, and then that one that you're planning on just papering over, where the kitchen is, I wouldn't bend my pick on giving that up either because it looks more appropriate without it. And I suspect at one point it didn't have that there, or a smaller one.
I agree.
yeah, I think what that does is it gives a future owner the ability to cut through that drywall and open that original opening back up. And you've not lost history. So that's kind of where we're coming from.
Yep.
Anything else, Keith?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Garn?
No, I just really appreciate Keith's suggestion. I was sitting here wondering, because we approved down on Lucy Street like this summer, right? The addition of a faux window where it had been bricked up. And so this in a way is very similar, leaving it as it is, but giving them the opportunity to construct inside what they need. So thank you, Keith. That's a great idea. And I support that. So good.
For clarity, not all of us approve that.
Oh, well.
And that was also
Okay.
that was also paint on brick.
Yeah. Well, that's where my brain was going. You have to follow where I go.
I'm tracking with you.
Okay.
Anything else, Garn? John?
So some of the windows seems like this house would have had double hung windows, which is on the side that everybody's saying is the most authentic. Those are double hung with the one that's circled, the one in question, and all the others are double hung, which I think is probably the most appropriate. But there are casements now that have been added, casements that open and the whole window moves, it looks like to me, versus double hung going up and down.
Mm-hmm. We have an open.
I don't know that I have a point on that, other than like Keith said, there's a mixed bag here, and the double hung feel very authentic with no grids in them, just plain glass. Mm-hmm. And if you do want to bring less attention to these windows, I think making that faux is good. I don't necessarily think the best thing would be to have white shades behind it like they show now. You could tint these windows with a film that's tinted that makes them look black. Whoever's controlling, Aaron, if you could shoot the other side, when windows are seen from they look black. When windows, depending on the light, but when you put white shades behind them, they exaggerate it. So you could use a black tinting, and that will just look like a window versus all these white shades.
Yeah, don't take my white shade comment as gospel, because an application is different. John's right.
I guess I have a question. Like in the future, if we wanted to one day like replace those windows, would it matter that, I wonder, is that going to be an issue if it's a faux window? Like how?
It's not a faux window. It's you're just covering it up from the inside. So you just leave it as is, and then when you need to replace it, they're just going to replace it.
Okay.
And I'm not, John's the builder here, so John, couldn't they do that from the outside?
Yeah, they could do it from the outside. And if you are going to do something inside, you would want to, if you're going to have drywall there, it's just going to hide more. I'd rather have tinting that completely blacks it out, so you never see what's behind the glass. Like if it's blinds or something or a shade, it's going to get dusty. It's just going to get nasty over time. Black is just going to go away, like this.
It'll have the appearance
of going away. And that's what they do in peaks where there's attics in a building or above a garage. That's what a builder trick is to black it out. And you still see glass, but you just don't know what's behind it.
Okay.
It's like the lights are always off.
Okay.
I see the point. I do see like how they're symmetrical, and now you guys pointed out. So we're talking about the two that we had have an issue with. It would be that one up in the top corner, and then the other one on Lucy Street up in the top right, like right there.
Yep.
Okay.
And then while I'm still asking questions, is that an air conditioning cutout on that one? What is that? Was there an air conditioner in the wall? What is that square?
I don't
there?
think that's an actual.
Is that a window?
I think it's a window.
That's a window in a bathroom, like up top.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're leaving that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then was there a door there under that lattice at one time?
No, I think somebody tried to.
I don't know what they did. But...
Oh, so that's just siding under there, so you.
Yeah, that's just siding.
Because the deck went up probably to the bottom of that lattice before we tore it off, and so I think it was decorative.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that this side with those 4 windows is the most authentic. I think if you just stick to double hungs and I think you're good.
So just for clarity, they're not replacing the windows. So the
No.
window is not in question, it's the opening.
Yeah, but Cindy made the point that if they ever do, and they probably, that's why I
Yeah,
said,
Yeah. So
One
if
day.
you do decide to change the windows, you would come back and submit a spec for what you'd like to replace them with.
Yeah.
Did I miss anybody?
no.
Yeah, if, Aaron, can you go up a little bit? Back to the other page, sorry. One more, or is that the top one? Sorry, okay,
Sorry,
down.
that's the top.
No, that's okay, I'm driving you crazy here. So right there, I would say that those lower windows are the original windows to the house, would be my guess.
Yeah,
Those
those
are
are pretty
windows,
good.
right?
Yeah, those are nice windows.
Right.
I can tell the one in the kitchen is, I think it's vinyl. They're
Yep.
definitely a lot newer.
Yeah.
So the one to the right, but those two are definitely original.
So the reason I'm bringing that up is not because of your window choice ultimately. It's because that's a little bit of the window to the soul of this house, no pun intended. The size of those openings are interesting. I mean, that's telling you something about what the size of the openings everywhere else would have been. So above those, they probably were double hungs, but they probably had a similar divided light originally as to what's below it. Just like if you go to the little barn window in your stairway, that's an original window. Original opening anyway. I can't tell if it's painted white or if that's a vinyl insert. But my guess would be that's original. And there, yep. And if you look to the right of that and you see that other black window, that looks to be original too, which would tell you what those 2 upper double hungs that we just looked at probably would have looked like.
Okay. Yeah, that one is original.
Yeah, that one on the right, 100% in that room. And then on the Lucy side, there's another window. Those are original. You can tell.
So the size of the openings in this photo above, just to like left-hand side above, you have divided light. I can't tell if those are old or new. Right-hand side, it looks like that's a replacement window, no divided light. But the size of those openings are likely original, especially if you look at the trim around it. So that's the kind of thing we're looking at, is the original intention of the house. That's really important. So I agree with what's been said. I would have a hard time taking either of those upper 2 windows out that you're suggesting. I actually would have a hard time if that little window right there that we're looking at is original. I would have a hard time taking that out because of the opening. The back, what you want to do in the back is I'm totally good with in terms of the single full divided light in the other window. We just can't approve it without seeing that spec. We can't approve it with staff approval against guidelines. So Cindy can say, yes, that door is a wood or clad door, full divided light from this manufacturer, and this window is blank, same thing. What I would hate, even though it's on the back of the house, is you have a little bit of a, obviously, like we've said, we have a mixed bag of windows through the years. And I'd hate to add one more to that and add to your window party.
So Cindy had a comment.
Oh,
I
Cindy.
did. This house was a bed and breakfast, subject to fire department inspection. And quite often, when casement windows are installed, when the double hungs don't meet the egress requirements. So that is maybe an explanation of why some of them were changed to casement windows to meet the 5.7 square feet of openable area.
Yep, it's a good call. That's probably why the one in the upper right of this photo looks different than the one in the upper left.
Yeah, even in the, if you go to the Lucy side, even up there in the upper right, that window was, yeah, if you go up there, that one on the left, right there, that is new as well. That's
Yeah.
like it's a vinyl. It's a vinyl
Yeah.
replacement.
It's
It looks
really,
like a couple years old, actually.
it's really a shame because, well, this house hasn't been, since I've been on the commission, this house hasn't come before us. So no updates have happened to my knowledge for the last 5-6 years or so. But it's really a shame that all those windows have happened like that, because the integrity of the house is still there. And I think that's what you hear us trying to protect, because you have such a beautiful property that reads historic on a corner that has two historic sides, like Jennifer said. So it's really important for us that those openings not change. And gosh, long term, I would celebrate your investment in upgrading and making more consistent those windows where the old ones aren't bad and where you can match them where the new ones have been put in. I know that's not today's discussion, but and as far as the siding goes, I would be supportive in keeping that siding and repairing it where it can be. The other thing about closing up a window, if you're not going to side right now, is that almost makes the elevations worse with patching. It almost, in the event that you do take something out, like on the back side of the house, I would want the whole, like that elevation to be repaired, because you could sell the house next year, and that just adds to the fragmentation of the house if that elevation isn't sided. So I don't think that's an issue now that we've talked about likely the opening being closed up on these primary facades wouldn't be approved. But I'm just throwing that out for consideration on the back where it likely would be.
Can I add one thing? You are adding one new window right above the kitchen sink. It's going to be smaller.
Yeah.
So that's the one that we would want to see a spec for, and that's the one that could drive all of your future replacements.
What I was thinking.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's a good point, John. You might, like when you submit that spec for staff approval, you might really consider the voice of that window and sort of its quality and its the manufacturer and the design, so that when you come back, you're matching that, which is your ideal, that's going to make you happy and it follows guidelines. So it's a good point.
So and I guess we can look at the guidelines on the window, like material. What would you recommend that we stick with for a historic house like this? Is that, you're right, that will be the one window that we would be replacing out of this whole thing right now, I guess. So what should we look at? Any recommendations?
Well, I don't want to recommend a style or a manufacturer. We have a few that we've approved that Cindy can give you cut sheets or suggestions on. What I guess before we would get to that, what I would suggest is you confirm the historic windows in the house and let that guide you on what your choice and what you ask for. Because I think that's what's going to create the continuity in your house, is that kitchen window. If those two I mentioned on the other side, the black ones, if those are original, oh my gosh, those are so full of character and really would enhance the structure if everything looked like that. So I'm pontificating that those are the original things, but I would structure your ask based on that window profile. And Anderson does windows like that. Pella does, Marvin does, Geldwin. So most of the manufacturers are going to be able to supply a window that match our guidelines. We typically don't approve vinyl replacement windows, especially when there's natural windows already in the house. We have approved clad, aluminum clad. And of course, we'd love to approve all wood.
Can I ask you guys, the black ones Tim was referring to, that you said are really great, do they feel really old?
Oh yeah.
Because they look like casement, and not, you might know the terminology, but I'll just say what it is. You can see me. Casement opens like that. They're hinged. The whole thing opens up. Double hung, the bottom lifts up and goes up. You have both. A lot of historic homes do have both. So, and I think over a kitchen window, depending on what's on that porch, it might be nice to have them open out like that. So, but if it's gonna hit something out there like a grill, I don't know what you're putting on that deck. Those could be double hung. They're just gonna be shorter double hung. You know what I mean? So that's just something to consider. If you're already following the precedent of those older ones, the casement might work for that. And you have a lot of those, where you have the casements, except for the two big openings that are in this picture in the peak, the gable there, those are the only double hung, or those are the only casements on the upper that I can see. All the rest are double hung.
Yeah,
Right.
so last thing on that is, no sandwich grids. We call it simulated divided light, where there's a grid on the inside and the outside, but it's still thermopane glass. So those are all in our guidelines. And then my PSA for original windows is you can do research on this to sort of validate it, but a really good quality storm on an old window, because of the hardwood in the window that can't be replicated anymore, actually provides about the same and in sometimes better insulating value than a new thermopane. So, but I know storms aren't inexpensive either, but that's just some philosophy on our guidelines.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll circle back to the application at hand then. I'd love for someone to make a motion. We would be approving we would be ruling on what is asked in the application. So somebody can make a motion. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Somebody can make a motion and we'll talk through it. Do you want me to take a stab?
Jen's talking. You're muted, Jen. There you
All
go.
right. For the application 820 Holland Street, I move to approve in part and deny in part the application. So I move to approve the replacement of the kitchen slider with a single door glass divided light, did you say? With materials to be submitted for staff approval, and approval of the kitchen window over the new sink to be submitted with materials and dimensions for staff approval. And I would move to deny the removal of all the remaining windows as requested. Did I miss the window in the front? No.
Maybe.
The one on,
Oh, the kitchen.
no, the kitchen I did first.
Well, there's a side kitchen window.
Yeah, there's
Correct. I think you might be missing that big side one, that one.
Oh, yeah. All kitchen windows. I would include all kitchen windows in the first part of the motion.
Okay.
And the removal of the kitchen window on the north side of the property.
So
But
Jen,
all original windows and openings to remain. All the other remaining windows and openings, the 3 other original windows that were requested to be cited over, that I would deny.
Patterson support.
okay, on the discussion side, I would just clarify that we're making a motion. I feel like we keep me honest here. I feel like we should be approving the motion as submitted, with the exception of those windows that we're denying. I guess that's kind of what you said, right, Jen?
Yeah, I think I just said approve in part and deny in part.
Okay.
Cindy's raising her hand.
Thanks for watching this, because I can't see that for
It's
some.
all good. It's all good.
I would just suggest that you approve the application with the following conditions: that the upstairs windows not be sided over. And I'm not sure about the one in the back, the little window in the staircase. I'm not sure if that was if it was to be sided
That's-
over or not. I wasn't clear in the motion.
That's an original opening, so no.
Okay.
That was my motion to deny.
Yep. So
For that
upstairs
side.
windows not be sided over, and the rear window in the staircase not be sided over.
Yes.
Those are the conditions.
And
So
then
it's-
materials and spec to be submitted for the kitchen door and window.
Perfect.
And whoever seconded that, who seconded it?
Yep, Patterson.
Patterson, do you agree with what we just said? These two
Yes,
seconds?
I do.
Okay. Is there any more discussion? We already put that in.
That can be cited over.
Say it out loud.
Oh, I just wondered. I'm just any
We
clear.
can hear you.
Oh, you can? I'm not clear on that side one, that was, okay.
Jennifer included that in her motion. That
I
it
just
was-
included it because it's an original opening and
This one.
no.
That's the one I'm questioning. Wait,
Which
go
one?
down, go
That-
down.
yeah.
Go now, show the front of the house.
Sorry.
You-
I'm trying to figure out which one you want. Sorry.
That one,
That
one.
one.
You include that one?
No. That's a kitchen window. So
It's a new window.
that's in the kitchen, correct, guys?
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that they're gonna put cabinets there in their kitchen. So originally when I
So John's asking.
put the motion out there, I said, and I added that on at the end and said, and to allow that to be cited over.
Yes, that's what I want.
That's
I
what-
just
that's
didn't
what-
catch that part, so
Along
I
with
agree
the-
with that. Okay, thank you, sorry.
No,
Okay, so in last bit of discussions, we have a motion and a second. So in the last bit of discussion, I want to make sure the applicant understands what we're voting on. So okay to side over that window that John just pointed out, lower right-hand side, not okay on the upper two windows or the barn window and the staircase. Okay with approval, staff approval on materials and vendors for the door and the window on the back of the house on the deck. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
That's
cool.
what I understand it. So yeah, well,
Okay, so
I know there's a lot of windows and a lot of different angles of the house.
right. So all in favor signify by saying, sorry, something else?
Cindy's got her hand up. I'm
I just
helping.
had a question about the door, the new door that will be installed. I know the deck has been removed. Are you planning on putting a landing and steps or a new deck? That will also take
that deck was-
approval.
That deck is still there.
That deck is still there. Okay, thank you.
Still there. Yeah.
So
That's
that
what-
will stay.
We're not changing that.
Okay.
And so I'm still gonna, I'll add that one more thing in to Jennifer's motion about the siding on the back of the house, that stretch from the gutter to the left to where it ends on the right needs to be sided under staff approval too versus patched in.
Okay.
you'll find that wood, you'll be able to match it. It won't be-
Yeah, I don't think it's too
It's,
challenging.
we have,
When we were buying it, we got a quote for somebody to prime and paint and everything, and they said they could replace. There were some boards they need to replace, and he's like, it's very easy. So
it's real easy, yeah.
To do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I will call it. So all in favor signify by saying yes. Jennifer,
Yes.
Nico,
Yes.
Garnet,
Yes.
Keith,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Tim, yes. Motion carries. Thank you guys for working with us on this. You have an awesome house and we appreciate you investing in it and making it
Yeah,
better.
thank you for buying that house.
Thank you.
Looks so much better already.
Some days a mess for
Maybe,
sure.
maybe we'll have a
It'll-
party
it'll make it.
for everybody. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Let's move on. I don't have the agenda in front of me.
Administrative approvals and updates, there are none.
You?
The communication, I have the summary of the 2020 activities. It's less than we had last year, but so is everything else.
Yep.
And that is a
Yes.
report that you report to city council what your activities were. I put it together for you and you bless it. So I think that it is complete. I went over it several times. But if anybody has any questions or additions or changes to that report, you could tell me now, or you could email me within the next couple of days or a week.
It's so helpful. Thank you for doing that. It's really good to do the year in review and look at the approval rates and dialogue that we've had with the community. So thank you for that. I know you, I don't think it ever really came to fruition, but I was supposed to go to a council meeting and sort of share this update to stay better connected. I'm happy to do that. I see Lauren still on too, Garn, Ryan. If you want me to do it, I'm a guy that works by schedule. So just reach out, let me know when you want to come. We'll get it on the schedule and I'll do it.
Yeah, I've been, as best I can during council comments, when we do boards and commission reports, have been reporting on historic district commission meetings. But I think it's always good for the chair to attend a meeting from time to time. And this, I think, is a good opportunity for you to do that.
Happy to do it. Okay, going back to my agenda. Is there any other public comment? No? Okay, any other commission comment? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Yep. Second.
Keith, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes. Patterson?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Nico?
Yes.
Narsa?
Yes.
Davenport?
Yes.
Straker? Yes. I don't know why I go first name, last name. I always alternate. I realize I do. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. I appreciate your collaboration.
Thanks.
All right.
Good night, all.
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye.